Yo, I'm coming to you in a bit of a drunken state, but I've spoken to my sister in England and it just brought out a lot of emotions because we kind of touched on the Russia-Ukraine thing, and obviously in the UK all she's getting is the information from the Baghdad Broadcasting Corporation, the BBC, which is Russia bad, Ukraine victim, and the West are good. So she's never heard that NATO have instigated this by calling for Ukrainian membership and Georgia membership into NATO, expansion of NATO into Eastern Europe, and also some of the atrocities against Ukrainian ethnic Russian speakers over there in the east of Ukraine. And I mentioned to her about Democratic Republic of Congo and the cobalt mines and what's going on with the oil in Niger Delta. So she's never heard any of that. And she's never heard that geopolitical perspective that NATO have been stirring the pot. You know, America can bomb the hell out of Libya, which has nothing to do with America, but Russia cannot take care of its own national security interests. So, and it's brought out the emotion because I don't use Facebook. I don't look at Facebook and I don't post on Facebook. And the other day I did post something. And I forget the professor's name. I'm sorry. I'll put it in the description. And geopolitical, and it gave the perspective of how obviously it's EU expansion and NATO expansion, but really the EU is controlled by America, and they just do what America asks. So very interesting. And I shared the link on my Facebook. 0 people have seen it. 0. So my sister in the UK, she's saying to me, well, I don't get that information. Well, of course not. You don't get it from your mainstream media, and you don't get it from your social media. Yeah, I live in Thailand, and I'm free to hear all the perspectives. I mean, Thailand does see America as the baddie in this, and says Russia wouldn't invade Ukraine if it wasn't for America under the auspices of NATO and EU that say yes to everything that America says. And Thailand wants nothing to do with the war in any case. And this is the other thing that's getting me emotional. Look at Sri Lanka today. Sri Lanka was, let's use the word, raped for its low, cheap labor. Okay? It's a net importer.
Lilac food.
Drunk food instead of kebab.
Lon.
Instead of kebab, it's noodle. Okay, please, can I carry on?
Okay.
Whilst I'm on a rant, whilst I'm on a roll. Where was I? Sri Lanka. Bankrupt. They can't afford these fuel prices. They're a net importer. They don't have the foreign exchange reserves. They're bankrupt. Chile, in Sri Lanka, here's another one. So in Sri Lanka, they've got 13 hours of power outages. 13 hours a day. No electric. In Chile, they had a 24-hour curfew because of protesters, and the Chilean government has come out and done some good things, which is made no tax on fuel, no tax on food. Okay, because a lot of the fertilizer for the farming comes from waste products from the fuel refinery, and they import that. So that's shot up in price. The fuel shot up in price. Tomatoes, for example, in Afghanistan, which yesterday declared itself bankrupt, have gone up by over 100%. And that's a staple for them. These people are poor. 25% of Afghanistan is living below the poverty line. So over 200 million people live in Afghanistan. The place is devastated because of what NATO, actually America, has been stirring the pot with Ukraine and forcing Russia's hand, and the rest of the world is paying for it. Why should I in Thailand be paying so much for my fuel? Still half what you pay if you're listening to me in Europe or in America. But why should I be paying double what I was paying a year or 2 years ago for something that's nothing to do with me or the country in which I live in? Think about that for a minute. It's not just devastating the working class and middle class of your own nations, you're doing it to the rest of the freaking world. So if you want to do something about the war in Ukraine, rally and protest your own government. Because Russia doesn't give a damn what you say. Russia doesn't give a damn about your virtue signaling. Russia's concerned with its own national security interests. Yeah. You want to pay more for your fuel? Go ahead. But don't make the rest of us pay more. Africa. You talk about colonialism. In the 50s, it came to an end. In 60s, with the collapse of the British Empire, and everyone just left. And there's always been the argument, yeah, we raped and pillaged and took their resources, but we left them with hospitals and school, but no doctors and no teachers. So, you know, what do you think you're doing today? You're doing the same thing, but from far. You're taking all the cobalt out of the Democratic Republic of Congo using child labor, taking it out of there for tuppence, and then refining it and extracting it and converting it into lithium-ion batteries, which cost a fortune in comparison. And the Democratic Republic of Congo, with child labor and plummeting life expectancy rates, is left with nothing. So keep on going with your virtue signaling nonsense. Post your freaking Ukraine flag. But don't be thinking that you're so smart, so good and righteous. You're just smarmy and sick. And wear your masks, sickos.